Welcome to the Walking Dead UK podcast. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for Fear the Walking Dead on AMC. I'm your host Matthew and this is for Season 6, Episode 5 called Honey. What did I think of this episode? Perhaps you can tell already by the tone of my voice. I didn't like this episode. I actually think this is almost an episode that you can skip. There's some important character moments here. But I think this might sound quite harsh, but I'm here to be honest and give my honest opinion, and if I'm not honest, I'm basically lying. I think this is the worst season so far, and I think this is the worst episode of this season so far. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I think this is the worst episode of the series, but I do think it's the worst episode of the worst season, so sort of by default it is the worst episode of the series. But very little happens in this episode. This episode is a little bit longer as well. It's about 50 minutes or so. You basically get Sherry and Dwight disagree on how to do things. Althea is sort of there as well. Morgan is there giving his Morgan speeches. Sherry sort of takes that from him and gives a Sherry-esque speech of the same vein. This sort of Morgan thing that we've had for a good few years now of, oh, you need to find yourself, or this is who I am, this is who I used to be, you're not who you used to be, and all these other things. It's one of The Walking Dead's, just as a franchise, it's one of The Walking Dead's worst cliches when it comes up with like, oh, you're not who you used to be, you should go off and find yourself, I found myself, I'm different. I'm a different person, I'm not who I am, one of them sort of things. And there was obviously that particular season, I think it was season 6, when Morgan sort of dragged Carol into doing that. Now Morgan has sort of accidentally or sort of dragged Sherry into doing that as well. I mean, other Walking Dead characters have made similar speeches, but nobody's done it on the level that Morgan's done it, and nowhere near as constantly. Just about like, I'm not who I used to be and all this other sort of stuff. Yet again, I don't think that the structure is working for this season. Just this weird sort of bottle episode type of thing. And we now haven't seen Alicia and Strand for, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 episodes. Because we had a Dwight and Sherry episode, and we had a June and John and Daniel Strand episode. He of course moved from the Alicia Strand group to the June and John group, but this episode is Dwight, Sherry, Morgan, who's kind of all over the place anyway, and who's the other character? Dwight, Sherry, and Morgan, and Althea as well. So not a ton to really talk about here. The best thing that this episode does is gives a bit of development in the relationship between Sherry and Dwight. That's clearly this episode's goal, and that does actually work. It's good. It's still kind of, well, I just said it's good. I'll retract that a little bit. It's got some good pieces to it, but I feel like Sherry and Dwight are both kind of being a little bit stupid in the episode as well. They both have like their own different ideas of how to do things. Ultimately they want to be together. They've literally just reunited, like a few days ago maybe. I don't know how long it's been since the end of that episode, a few episodes ago, but it's been a little bit of time, and already she wants to kind of distance herself from him. So I don't really, that's the part that's just not really working particularly. The other main goal of this episode, which pretty much fails, which is sort of by design of the episode, this sort of happens on purpose, but there's no real point to it, which is, okay, we're going to set up this attack on Virginia. What's her name? Virginia, the main villain. I've sort of briefly forgotten her name. Set up an attack on her. We're going to use the machine gun van, because I can't think of if it's got an actual name. You all know what one I'm talking about. The Althea's actual van with the machine guns, which is quite a cool vehicle, I will say that. But obviously it's been in the show for a good few seasons now. Use that to sort of lure Virginia out and kill her. That doesn't work. There's still guys there that Sherry could kill. She's torn between, she's got her hand on the lever thing. Dwight's urging her not to do it. These other guys, whose names I can't remember, are urging her to do it. She's torn. She doesn't end up doing it. And then Dwight and Sherry thus have the fallout from that. So basically the execution of this episode, not the goal of the episode really, but the execution of the episode is we're going to plan to take out the main villain in episode 5 when we know we have a 16 episode season, and we're going to fail that because she's not going to turn up because Virginia's actually fairly smart, and then that's going to cause a fallout between, in this episode, the main two characters, Sherry and Dwight, of which they reunited a few days ago, or maybe I don't. Maybe it's been a week. It's not been very long. It can't have been very long. Yeah, that's sort of the main part of the episode.
Hey there, I'm Aaron Holman, host of Eye to Eye, a weekly podcast talk show all about passion.
I have this passion and this fire within me that burns brighter than the fire around me.
Flow.
With performing, there's always a story to tell, whether it's my own or not.
And creativity.
I go, he's more than cute, he's creative.
All with an LGBT twist. Make sure to check out Eye to Eye, that's EYE, number 2, letter I. And rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in today.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Kualu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Kualu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon. There's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Other than that, my other main problem with the episode... Now, this isn't a problem with the story or anything. This is just a problem with... It's a bit more of a personal problem with the episode. There's 2 zombies in this episode, or walkers. I found that to add to the boring nature of the episode. Not only did I not find other than the good parts of the Sherry Dwight moments in the episode, which there were a few of, but not all of that story. Nothing else in the episode particularly worked for me. And then one of the literal other things I look for in these shows is cool zombie set pieces, survival tactics, different weapons, different locations, characters being put into danger, how are they going to get out of that danger, what are they going to use, who can they trust, there's all those sorts of things. And you didn't get any of that in this episode, because the only point we see any walkers in the episode is at the end, where I'm not sure if it was explained. I'm not going to say the explanation was bad because I possibly missed the explanation. But Morgan is whacking this walker around the face with his spear stick thing. And then they leave 2 of them there. They drive off in this car. They meet this other group of people, and then the episode ends. Okay. that's not a zombie set piece at all. That's just zombies being used for something in the future. I thought that was going to get used for something. I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but I'm not going to blame that on the episode, because maybe I potentially missed something, or maybe I didn't. I'm not actually quite so sure about that. But yeah, I thought this was a really weak episode. I just waited for something to happen, or I don't know, that like skate park that we've got, throw some walkers in there or something, or just sort of put a bit of life into this episode, because all that really happens in this episode is Sherry and Morgan give speeches about who they were, who they aren't, who Dwight is or isn't, what their goals were, who they, all that sort of Morgan speech-esque sort of stuff. It's almost like Morgan thinks he's the Riddler or something, because that's sort of how he speaks. But apart from actually having riddles, like actual, because the Riddler, the Batman villain, comes up with actual questions that Batman has to figure out, Morgan just sort of does it as a way to try to talk and a way to try to express himself, and it's never been very good, really. Like that particular, not just for this episode, but every single time they try to do that with Morgan, which they're now trying to do with Sherry, it's never worked on The Walking Dead. And as I said, that's one of The Walking Dead's worst cliches, is when one of the characters tries to talk about who they were, who they are, who everybody else is, or whatever the situation. Then you got a failed plan on to attack the main villain. Dwight and Sherry fall out from that. That's pretty much your episode, really. There really isn't much else to talk about, and they interrogate this other guy. There's a kind of cool little scene on horses, which was fine. But other than that, not much else particularly happens, and I don't really have a lot else to talk about. I don't want to keep going on every week about the format of this season. I've tried to sort of stray away from actually talking about that in this podcast, just because I don't want to bang on about that every single week. I've expressed already how much of a problem that is for this season, and it's actually getting worse the longer it goes on, because it's affecting the storytelling, I feel like. And that's just, I'm not telling you that's a fact, that's just my opinion of how I feel the season is being structured. And it just really does amaze me. I talked about this on the Walking Dead World Beyond podcast, on how some people are really not enjoying World Beyond, and they think this is the best season of Fear, and I just have the total opposite opinion. So I think this is the worst season so far. But again, opinions are opinions. That's all perfectly fine. Nobody's right or wrong. I perfectly respect that and everything. So yeah. So yeah, I can kind of respect the opinion on that, which is totally fine. If you think this is the best season of Fear and you really don't like World Beyond, you're perfectly entitled to feel that way. That's perfectly fine. What I will say is, if you do have those thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, or maybe concerns about the world of The Walking Dead, just the franchise as a whole, it's perfectly fine for you to email in about any of it. Let me know what you think of this season so far. What do you feel about the structure? What do you think of this episode? And do you think this is the best or the worst, or one of the middle seasons of Fear the Walking Dead? Let me know your thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, concerns at Matthew@entertainmenttalk.org. Sorry, Matthew@entertainmenttalk.org. Twitter eTalkUK. There's a contact page and information in your show notes. I'm trying to think of what else I need to discuss for the episode. Structure is still a problem, but I'm not going to repeat myself every week. I've already done that for 4 weeks. So yeah, we're 5 episodes in. I think the mid-season finale is soon as well, just for a little bit of news as well. I think they said either episode 7 or episode 8. It finishes around sort of the end of November, which is cool. Which does make me wonder as well. Are we going to deal with the villain by the mid-season finale? I just hope that at some point we do get to a crossover point in the story where these stories actually decide to meet up and everything, because surely it's got to happen at some point. I don't know how much longer you can use this structure for the story for, or tell the story in this way for. I don't know how long you could actually do that for. It's going to be interesting, certainly. So but yeah, the episode didn't work for me. Didn't think the story was particularly engaging. There's no real massive action, no zombie set pieces. Morgan giving his I've spoken before about Eugene giving Shakespearean sort of speeches. Morgan gives sort of Riddler-esque speeches, but not for actual riddles, just for like the way he speaks. So you got that continuing as well. And yeah, we'll see how the the show continues in the next couple of weeks. See, I know it might kind of seem like I'm on the verge of quitting podcasting on the show or whatever, but I am finding just how long can the fascination for me at the moment. First of all, I really like these characters. I like Morgan and Alicia and Dwight and Sherry and Althea and all the other characters in the show. I'm very interested in them. Plus, I like, the zombie world and the world of The Walking Dead and what this is kind of doing for it. And I do have a fascination as well about, how long can you continue to tell the story like this? And when you do finally make these characters meet up, what's going to happen then? So I'm still very, very much interested. I know I've expressed, how my big sort of disappointment with the season, but I'm going to keep going. It's going to be very curious and very interesting to see how they continue moving this forward as well. So that's pretty much all I've got for you. If you want to check out everything else that we've got, it's on entertainmenttalk.org. If you want to support us, if you like what you've heard today and you want to support us and want to get more involved with Entertainment Talk, that would be brilliant. Entertainmenttalk.org, of course, is where you can find all the content. Patreon, we're on there. You can have a look at there for the $1 and $3 level tiers for instant ad-free podcast and review options. Amazon affiliate link if you're buying those Christmas presents or treating yourself, or both, whatever the situation. We can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds and podcast services, please search for Entertainment Talk on those and get yourselves rate, reviewed, subscribed as well, or get yourself subscribed, and please rate, review the feed if you can. If we're not on your favourite podcast platform, please let us know and we can look into that. What's the other thing? Yeah, you can search for Geektown on iTunes podcast services. Geektown is, of course, your TV and film news, your up-to-date, reliable TV and film news. Tuesdays, Geektown Radios, there'll be a new episode tomorrow. You can find all the news on geektown.co.uk and Geektown Radio through iTunes and podcast services, run by David, of course, so check that out as well. Bex is streaming daily at the moment. Sorry, not daily. She's streaming daily at the moment over on Twitch. If you search for Trista Bytes, Trista, Bytes, go and follow her, subscribe to her over there for all that cool stuff. And I have changed the username for my Twitch channel, so if you search for eTalkUK, so the same name as the Instagram and the Twitter and everything else, branding and whatnot, if you search for eTalkUK on Twitch, you should be able to find me on there streaming some different video games, and please get yourselves subscribed over there as well. That would be brilliant. Word of mouth, you can tell everybody about everything I've already mentioned. Entertainment Talk, Trista Bytes, Geektown. Social media, you can do the same thing over there, Facebook, Twitter, or different Facebook groups. Tell people that you know about everything I've mentioned, and of course look out for Let's Play Sunday episodes as well. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you for whatever they do next week, or whoever the episode focuses on next week. It's got to be due for a Alicia. I almost said Althea. We've got to be due an Alicia episode. So we'll see how the rotation continues to go. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.